Today I'm going to discuss my experience with a new 40k app and talk a bit about why it's been quite so poorly received. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, the strategy focused 40k channel, where we've been going over the news and developments of 9th edition as they've been coming out. Now, as we all know, 9th edition has seen the introduction of this new 40k app, and for 40k it seems to be Games Workshop dipping their toe in the water for a digital living rule set. It's certainly an area where there's customer demand, seeing as other sites such as Warhammer and Battlescribe have taken it upon themselves to fill in a gap left by Games Workshop. In this video I'll talk through my own experience using the app, a few of the issues that currently surround it, and the pros and cons of getting it in its current version. So when Games Workshop announced this app, they've told us a list of features that you'll get for free, and a list of features that you'll get if you're a subscriber, the subscription cost being a fairly expensive £4 a month, which is certainly more than the vast majority of apps that are out there. The free features were billed at reading the core rules and accessing the codexes and supplements that they bring out, by being able to scan in a code for that codex or supplement and then get access to a digital copy on the app. If you subscribe, then you gain access to their reference section, which is aimed to be a quick way of searching through things on the app, being able to bring up datasheets, rules and stratagems very quickly. In theory, we'll also have access to an army builder as now, which currently doesn't exist. For me, the biggest draw to the app was the offer that all of the rules for the current codexes will be included in the app, so that's anything from the codexes from 8th edition or from Psychic Awakening, and that bit honestly has me quite interested, because if you're just mainly interested in the rules, then you're basically getting access to a whole load of very expensive books worth of rules, all from £4 a month, which when taken into perspective isn't actually that bad if you were thinking about picking up a fair few of them. So I got the app on Android. Apparently it's not available for iPhone operating system, but apparently it's going to be soon. Please let me know if that has been fixed yet, as obviously that's going to exclude a lot of people from being able to get it. The first thing that you need to do when you're signing up for the app is create a My Warhammer account, which as far as I can tell only has the functionality of being used for this app at the moment, though again please correct me if it does anything else. It is basically a mechanism where if you want to subscribe and pay that £4, then it goes out of that account, then you sign into the app via logging in with your account, and that's how it checks if you're a member or not. As I said, currently the app has very limited functionality. I'm not sure how you're going to be able to add codexes into the app because there's no code scanner yet, though I suppose that might be something that they've left till later, as I think it's mainly designed for adding in these new codexes, and of course the first ones will be Codex Necrons and Space Marines, which won't be out till October. The Army Builder Battleforge thing is completely non-functional as well. If you click on it, then you could just get a coming soon screen. One thing to note about the subscription is that it's not very obvious how you unsubscribe if you do subscribe for the £4 a month. I think that that's one thing that's really got people's back up a bit. Basically, if you subscribe to the thing, there's actually no way within the app itself to be able to unsubscribe, and I couldn't find anything on the My Warhammer account bit either. From a bit of googling around, it seems that someone on Reddit has already found a link that you can use to unsubscribe from the app, though why on earth this hasn't been included as part of the app, I really don't know. I'll post that link down in the video description if it's useful. In terms of the features, for free you really don't get all that much. Basically you just get the core rules and in theory the ability to scan in codexes, which as I mentioned hasn't happened yet. The core rules are really accessed in a very funny format indeed. Basically it links you to a Google Drive document where you get a copy of that free PDF that you can already download for free from Warhammer Community. Honestly, it's a really bad system for delivering it. It means that you can't access it if you don't have an internet connection. When I was trying to look through it, it took a while for the pages to load in, and some of them just failed loading altogether, meaning that you couldn't see the whole thing. And as far as I can tell, we can't even search within the document either. Honestly, it's just very buggy indeed, and if you want the core rules on your phone, then they already allow you to download the free PDF, so you may as well just put that PDF on your phone, rather than going through this app in my opinion. I'm not sure why they couldn't just link you to a PDF of those exact same rules. Just out of interest, this is the screen that you get if you click on the Battleforge section. That's more coming soon screen with a picture of a Space Marine and a Necron. If you open up the reference section of the app, then you get to see all the datasheets and codexes that you have in it, but it basically keeps all of them locked unless you actually subscribe to it as well. I decided to subscribe for it, partly because I was interested in having as many rules as possible, and I thought that £4 isn't the worst for an experiment. If I decide I don't like it, then it's not all that much lost. One thing that I noted was that these are all available offline, which is quite a good advantage. If they just kept the same Google Drive format as they have for the core rules, then I think I would have given up then and there. Basically there's two real ways to access the rules. Either you can search for them via a little search bar feature that you can see on the top right hand of the screen, or you can scroll through that list of publications and select the one that you're interested in. Both of them can work sort of okay, but they sort of both have bugs as well. In general, for the majority of rules, I found the search function generally fairly good. If you know the exact name of the datasheet that you're after, then it will deliver it to you in seconds, which is definitely a positive. It can also be pretty helpful for accessing stratagems and army special rules and things. I would bear in mind though that the search function just really isn't very clever, and you will need to absolutely know the exact name of the thing that you're searching for. For example, it doesn't really like things out of order, such as if I was looking for a Centurion Assault Squad, and I happen to make the error of searching for Assault Centurion, then no results would come up. It seems that you need to put them in the right order. It can be pretty unhelpful for certain other units as well, such as when I was trying to find Deathwatch Veterans, they're just called Veterans, so if you put in Deathwatch Veterans then they don't automatically come up. The same being if I put a squad at the end, say I put Veteran Squad, that will not come up either. Also, some things seem to be far more searchable than others. For example, when I was trying to look up the Blood Angels chapter tactic Red Thirst, that one worked absolutely fine, but if I searched for their Common Death Company rule Black Rage, then that one didn't crop up because it's more of a feature on individual datasheets, even if it is printed at the front of Codex Blood Angels. In terms of complete contents for codexes, there does seem to be most of the actual individual specific rules within the reference section, but it's certainly not a complete codex, and it doesn't spell out, say, which of these rules are available in what sort of formations. Say, for example, in the Adeptus Custodes stratagem section, it doesn't spell out that you need an Adeptus Custodes detachment to be able to use them. I know that that's fairly common knowledge, but it does highlight that this reference section is more just for checking rules, but it might not tell you exactly how all of these rules interact together. Unhelpfully for searching as well, it does appear that there are a fair few typos that have made it into the app. One that I came across was the Orc stratagem Daburnin Highway, which has been spelled Dabrunin Highway, as you can see here. I double checked just to be sure, but yes, that means that if you search Daburnin Highway into the search function, it means that that won't come up. Hopefully these will be pretty rapidly addressed, but it doesn't really look the most professional when coming from a proper company. Of course, the other way that you can access these rules are going through the individual codexes. I honestly found that quite easy for accessing the individual unit datasheets. It was pretty quick just to go to Codex Space Marines and access the datasheet for an Intercessor Squad, for example. But there are a few problems with going down this approach as well. In general, it just doesn't seem to be very helpful when you're looking at things that have had updates, potentially in Psychic Awakening. For example, Red Thirst, when I was trying to look up that rule in the Blood Angels Codex section, it just wasn't there whatsoever in the Detachment Abilities section. And it was only after I resorted to searching it that it actually turned up, and of course it was in the Psychic Awakening Blood of Baal book, because they rewrote the chapter tactic when that book was released. I think it would have been more helpful just to have all Blood Angels rules under one section, rather than in different publications. I believe that the same goes for any individual other datasheets as well. Say for example, if I was looking for Wolf Priests in the Space Wolf Codex section, you're not going to find any there, because their datasheets have been updated in Saga of the Beast. I think it would be better if they just organised the rules per army, rather than separated them out into these different publications. If you do look into the Psychic Awakening bits as well, for some reason they haven't bothered to sort out the various faction rules within the copy of Psychic Awakening, which means that you have some really weird stratagem lists. Say if you did look in Saga of the Beast, for some reason you'll find all the Space Wolf and Orc stratagems just listed in alphabetical order, so you have a nice mix of Space Wolf and Orc stratagems all the way down the list. It's really not a helpful way of organising it whatsoever, because realistically you're only going to be after either the Space Wolf stratagems or the Orc stratagems, and certainly not both in one big mix. At the very least, separating them out would be good. When you do manage to access the rules though, the datasheets, I must admit, I quite like the style of. For the majority of them, you do get quite a nice picture of the miniature, and then its stat line presented in quite a pleasing way. All the points are included, and they are the 9th edition points as well. Here you can see Rebute Gilliman, who's gone up to a 380 from 350. Strangely, they don't seem to have included power level on these datasheets. It's not something that I tend to use all that much myself, but sometimes you will need it for things like strategic reserves. A pretty weird one to omit, to be honest, particularly as they're quite all 4 power level these days. In any case, besides that, I think this initial view of the unit is actually quite helpful, and it can access some stats quite quickly in-game. It's a bit more clunky to use for the weapon profiles and all the unit abilities, which are all listed below. For the slightly more wordy special rules, unfortunately there's no expand or collapse function, as for example for Space Marines, it basically just lists out combat doctrines as a rule in full for every single unit in the army. It is there if you need it, but 99% of the time it's just going to be getting in the way, and it's quite a massive block of text to scroll past. I think it would be quite helpful if they just had these collapsed in a small version, and then you could click on the word to expand it if you'd like to see the actual big rule in full. In general though, I do think that this section works okay. Certainly not perfect by any means, but I think I will get some use out of it. So with all those details out of the way, is the app actually worth it? I'd honestly say for most people in its current form it probably isn't. You can just see by the amount of reviews on the Google Play Store that people really aren't all that impressed by it, and it's scraping along at an incredibly low 1.4 out of 5. There's just no getting around that it's got very limited functionality at the moment, and the bits that do function have a whole load of technical issues that really get in the way when you're trying to use it. I'd currently declare the free version entirely useless at present. You're better off getting the core rules through a PDF, and there's no function for putting the codexes on the app via any codes or anything, although in theory that should materialise when the codexes start to come out. Really the only reason to get this app would be if you were paying the £4 a month to get access to that rules reference section. As to whether or not that's good value for you or not, I think it kind of depends. I think it's actually of more inflated value at the moment because you get access to all of the rules in the game. When the 9th edition codexes start coming out, it means that those rules will probably get superseded and then probably removed so you wouldn't be able to see them. If you literally just wanted something to be able to check the rules in the game, then it's actually not the worst, and if it actually saves you buying some codexes, then the £4 a month price isn't all that terrible. Admittedly, that might say more about Games Workshop's prices that they charge for rulebooks as opposed to the value of the app. Realistically though, if you are happy with using either Battlescribe or Warhammer, at the moment they certainly give a better service and are also a lot cheaper, being free. For me personally, I think I am going to keep it for a month or two, partly just to see if they fix any of the bugs with the app, and to have a look at this new army building feature, and the quick reference section could be helpful from time to time I think. I suspect I might wind up unsubscribing though when the 9th codexes start coming out, as it very much sounds like you're going to have to buy them anyway, so I'm not sure what the point is in maintaining a fairly expensive app subscription for the whole year. So feel free to let me know your experiences with the app down in the comments below. I'm not expecting many people to be all that impressed by it. If you've enjoyed the review, then feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics, where we'll be continuing to cover the 9th edition news and developments as they come out. If you'd like to help support the channel, I do have a Patreon page which is down in the video description below. If you've been getting any value out of my videos, then any support is greatly appreciated, as the channel's Patreon is what allows me to make all of these videos instead of having a more normal real-world job. Patrons get access to one video per week early, there's regular polls to see what sort of things come next on the channel, and you're also entered into monthly prize draws. If any of that sounds good, or you'd just like to help keep the channel going, then the link is down in the video description below. In any case, a big thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.